LBM Strategies 2024. The panel discussion on artificial intelligence got high marks from attendees. Plus, the roundtable discussions were marked by a packed room and healthy dialogue about practical uses for this powerful technology tool. Because of the overwhelming interest in AI, we decided to create a 90-minute session workshop for today, featuring 2 LBM pros with extensive hands-on experience with AI, as well as a hot topic roundtable on the topic tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to kick it off with Soule. Shane's session is entitled AI in Action, How ProTec Put Artificial Intelligence to Work. So over the past year, ProTec Panel Truss has rolled out AI across operations, finance, and sales, and track the impact. Today, Shane will share their playbook, how they identified the right opportunities, tested new approaches without derailing the day-to-day, and reshaped workflows to gain speed, accuracy, and better decision-making. You'll hear what worked, what didn't, and the practical tools and lessons learned that any company of any size can adopt right now. If you've been asking, where do we start, or how do we move from pilots to ROI? This is your blueprint. Proven steps, measurable results, no theory, no fluff. Please join me in welcoming the person who led ProTec's journey from early experiments to repeatable wins, Soule.
Thanks, Rick. Can everyone hear me all right? Yes. So speaking of headshots, it just reminded me. So I used AI to get a headshot a couple years ago, and it was a little too good that I've been told. So I probably should get that headshot, because if you look me up on LinkedIn, I look about 50 pounds lighter, and it's a lot more hair. So I probably need to redo that. So if you came to see the younger, skinnier version from LinkedIn, I'm sorry, I'm the older, not as good looking version. So, but AI is, it's a keyword, buzzword. I think I spoke at this in 2021, and someone asked a question about AI, and I was like, I think that's a movie or something, and no one knew what it was, and it really wasn't in the industry yet. But earlier this year, I just opened up ChatGPT and tried something, and just dumped a file in, and I could not believe what popped out of it. And ever since then, I've been 50% of the day, I'm collaborating with it one way, shape, or form. It helped write this PowerPoint, but more importantly, I'm trying to make my team more efficient within the lumber industry. And there is no blueprint for this, so it's a lot of research trying to figure things out. So I wanted to highlight a couple of the main, most valuable, easy points that we're doing that maybe could be some value for anyone here. So I've been in the industry 25 plus years, started building trusses on a table when I was fresh out of college, and then kind of worked my way up. So I've been in the industry my whole life. So very passionate about using technology. I spoke previously about different ways to track data, spreadsheets, KPIs, that sort of thing. So it's trying to figure out how to run my company by the numbers to tell us where to go is a very important thing that I like to do. So with AI coming in, it kind of just makes everything much easier and gives me a lot better data. So speaking of that first moment, so I posted this on LinkedIn, and this was what Rick contacted. He's like, would you like to talk about this specific thing? So I was blown away when I dropped a sales report in, and I put 3 years of sales, but then dropped it by 16 months by customer. And I was like, just give me some info on this. What are you seeing? And then it broke down trends, it broke down customers, it broke down areas, and then said, I think you really should look at this. This could be an area that you may not be aware of. And I was reading through it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is scary, but cool. And then ever since then, I became hooked. So that was when I realized, okay, that took me 5 minutes to download it and use it. Just drop a file in, no setup. The cost of a ChatGPT monthly fee. So I've been trying to find ways to leverage that going forward within the business. So speaking of, I'm the king of dashboards, spreadsheets. Literally, I'm trying to find ways to have less of them, but I like to track everything to kind of see what's valuable and what I can use. But at the end of the day, you got to start asking yourself, what are the actionable items of this data that we're spending time to calculate and look at? And it's always my challenge. So very data rich. Our industry is more data rich than ever. different softwares have more dashboards, more BI capabilities, but it's a lot to process. So we measure everything, but at the end of the day, we're not learning as much as we could. A lot of reports, I can think of every cool report that you could ever think of we have and have automated. Hours of analyzing, but minutes of action. So kind of using AI helps us process it a lot quicker. So some of the areas of opportunity, so with sales, building permits, I don't know if any of you guys look up building permits, but I'm old enough that back in the day I used to have to drive to every county, city building, and pull all the permits, and some of them would give you a copy, the others you had to write them down, and that's always been valuable for us, but now, since then, they've got companies that do that and they email it to you, but it's still trying to connect it from getting the email down to your team to actionable things of calling customers based off the permits. It's a lot to it, so we still struggle to roll that out. So content, the easy thing that anyone can do, drop, prompt, help me write this article, or read this email and give me some information. Or, if you get lumber reports, there's a lot of them out. I have 4 or 5 that I sign up for, so I drop those in. It tells me everything that I need. Estimating, that's a big one, especially if you're into trusses and components or commercial, where you have to spend hours reading just to get the information that you know. So I got some tools in there that really are helping us. Finance, so we're big enough that we have a couple branches now, but not quite big enough to have a CFO. So we have an accountant, but at the end of the day, the accountant isn't working at our business to give us real-world insights. So that's something that I'm using it for as well. And then team communication. So we have lumber department, estimating, truss and component, sales. They all tend to work in their own bins and silos, talk about different things, but we don't necessarily, the truss department may not be aware of what the sales department's talking about. So there's a lot of missing opportunities that we're trying to connect with this. So I'm just gonna kind of walk through what we're doing, and it's at a pretty low level and it's easy, and you feel free to copy or ask any questions when we're doing it. But automating building permit process. So we sign up for one that covers our areas. We get that automated email that comes in that I'm sure a lot of you get. Well, I set up a connector called Zapier. It's actually really easy. You just sign up and you connect it to your email. It grabs that attachment and then sends it to ChatGPT. And then ChatGPT uses a fixed prompt to output target data that I put in there. And then Zapier then sends that permit data to the assigned sales reps that it already knows, and then it also gives me a sales report. So it gives a sales manager brief. So I try to grab actual outputs here, so you don't have to read through it, but it just kind of shows you what it actually gives you. So just dropping in multiple reports. Key customer insights, as you can see here. I mean, these are customers right in our area. Notes by sales region, we're in multiple areas, so we get reports, 8 different reports that come in. And then key salesman assignments. So that sales rep manager is able to get all that. The sales rep gets all that stuff pushed to them. So before it was someone had to, frankly it was our sales manager had to drop it into a spreadsheet. Then all the sales reps had to go into the spreadsheet to look at it and find it, mark it off. Then the sales manager had to go back in and see if they actually did it. Very tedious. So that literally automates. We don't touch anything, and it emails the individual sales reps their customers' permits, and we also assign by region opportunities that they don't have. AI research and writing. So I drop a lot of data in there. So there's a lot of things that I can consume now that I couldn't consume before. So we all get emails, too many PDFs, we can't read them all. Now I'm able to get a lot of them because I'm pretty much taking those, dropping into specific projects, and then reading the cliff notes of everything. Multiple articles, and it can also search the internet for content and also bring additional information back. Email threads. Especially if you're higher up at a company, you get CC'd, I'm sure, all the time, and trying to keep up on all of it. Put that in there, and it will say, you don't need to do anything here, it's just an FYI, or you should check back with this person. Honestly, that's a big savings. I do that consistently. So we are starting a brand new truss and component facility in Battle Creek, Michigan, and I was thinking, just to get it started sometimes just takes some time to like, what am I gonna write out? So I just put in there, write me a press release announcing our new location. That's all I gave it. It knew other stuff from my inputs that I put in it, so it knew about our company, but it would go on the internet and look, and it literally popped out exactly this. I didn't give it all, but it said everything about ProTec Panel and Truss. It quoted me from things that I grabbed from the internet about ProTec. It was 10 times better than I could have ever written it. I didn't copy and paste this and give it to them, but you talk about a starting point. This is a way better starting point. And it has all this information. I didn't have to say, hey, I'm ProTec Panel and Truss, we do this, and here's our core values, and we're looking to hire this many people. It knew a lot of that stuff already. So I've tried to think, anything I'm trying to do, I try to collaborate with ChatGPT just because it makes it go quicker and allows me to move faster. So meetings, I'm in meetings all day. That's the worst part of a growing company to me personally. When you grow to a certain size, you're in meetings to talk about meetings about other people. It's all day long. And then you're taking notes, and then later, where am I going to put these notes? How am I going to get these to-dos to this, and how to execute? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that deals with that, but I got pages of notes that I probably never read again, and to-dos that I didn't do. So what we're using now is Otter AI. It's probably the best known meeting recorder, and it goes right into our Teams. We use Microsoft Teams. It records everything, and then it does an exact, you can look at it word for word, but it also breaks it down to the to-dos, everything you talked about, real easy, formattable type thing. But then I have that transcript automatically exported to OneDrive, and then the file is auto-uploaded into ChatGPT into a project that I created called Leadership Team. And then ChatGPT processes with a saved prompt, summarize key moments and decisions. So I'm not doing anything. The meeting ends, this all happens. And then the summary is stored in the project for reference for coaching follow-up. So it stays in its memory in that project. So it's basically like a right-hand person for me in whatever project I'm in. So that's specifically for the leadership meeting. So if you take a notes, you're in a meeting and it's like, hey, didn't we talk about that 60 days ago? You type that in there, it's like, yeah, on 10/27, you told John that he was supposed to have that done, and he said yes. Well, boom, and then you pull the notes, and all of that's done. So I don't take any more physical handwritten notes anymore. So here's the workflow: meeting transcript, ChatGPT summary, leadership project, pretty much all done with Zapier, ChatGPT, and then Otter AI. So just an example of an output, it'll say the key decisions that were made, the follow-ups, and you can have it sent to everyone, just the transcript automatically as well, so they get a copy in their email. So in a minute, every meeting becomes a report. And then it files itself. So I break, and again, there's a lot of ways to do anything. This is just the way that I've come to be most efficient to find things. So I create in ChatGPT projects. So I have a sales, marketing, safety, finance, and each one of those, you can put files that go in there that are, so for sales and marketing, we might put our marketing brochures, our taglines, different files that you want any chat that goes in there to read, recognize, and understand and process. And you can put specific prompts in there. Hey, you are my marketing agent. You're the best in the world, and I want you to come up with ideas on that. So our sales marketing meeting that we have, the notes drop in here. It does a complete summary and then gives some feedback, and it remembers everything. So it's the same with safety, finance. I have that all automated back into those folders, so it has a history to it. So ChatGPT remembers the context and links across multiple meetings. So it does have some memory within itself because we signed up for ChatGPT Business. So we have multiple people, leaders within our company that have an account, and it's all kind of tied together in the same workspace. You can also share projects now. So like safety, all of our leaders are in the same project, so they see the same chats, all that stuff. So again, I can have a conversation with one person, it can record or it can be in there, but someone else can see it at a later date. My most exciting one that I like the most that I want to continue to build on is estimating. So being in truss and components, we do 50% of our business is commercial. We spend so much time just going through blueprints, looking for what's the floor truss loading, what's the roof truss loading, what kind of wall sheeting is it, what are the species of the studs. Like, you got to look all over the place to find these things, especially to bid them. And if you want to sell 10 million, you got to bid a lot of millions to do that. So it becomes a bottleneck just to read it rather than just like doing the actual design is a short part, and getting all that information is the hard part. So with that, I can get counts, information on any blueprint, loose material estimates. You can prompt it any way you want. So right now I've got one for commercial that we're using, the whole team uses. They drop it right in at the beginning of the project, and it's got custom prompts that already ask the questions that I want, and I can add more any way you want, and then it tells everything that we need to know within a minute or two. So for example, grab all loading, wall heights, floor system type, and exterior sheeting specs. Well, I drop a 100-page blueprint in there, and boom, it spits this out exactly the way I want it every time. I don't have to type it each time. All I have to do is drop the blueprint into that specific GPT. So I plan on writing a lot more GPTs to hurry up and process those much quicker, because estimators and designers are not cheap, and they spend a ton of time going through blueprints. So if I can save that, that's going to end up being a big time saver for us. For example, we've got 15 designers. At the end of the day, it's not that I want to get rid of designers, but I would like them to process more, faster, and more accurately. So this normally takes 1 to 2 hours of a high-paid estimator to review. Now it's under a minute. So this one is a big deal. And you can use that if you're in trim and doors, siding, any of those. So, I want to build more of these. You can say what kind of siding, what's the thickness, what's the trim around the windows, what's the spec, what's the backing, those types of things. Drop it right in there and keep that in a specific custom GPT. And that's easy. I'm a lumber guy. I'm not a smart IT person. Like, I figured it out on my own. You can watch a couple videos. It's very intuitive. AI in accounting and finance. So again, I'm big into numbers. I ended up breaking my income statement down to multiple pages because we do a lot of cost accounting, trying to track manufacturing costs and contra costs and all sorts of things. But it takes forever to read these things. And we're not quite big enough to have an expensive CFO. So right now, I automatically drop the monthly income statements, balance sheets into that specific project, and it has all the history of everything. And it quickly comes up with exactly the information that I want to get from it. Trends, things I'm not noticing, margin opportunities, things that are falling, cash flow issues, potential issues, things to do. And again, it's just like anything. If you have a CFO, you want to check their work too. You still want to check it and make sure it goes through. You don't take that and send it over to the bank without reading it. But at the end of the day, I'm able to do a lot more, and I probably won't hire a CFO for a little while longer than I would have before. So summarize key financial trends, margin changes, working capital shifts. So here's a couple of the prompts that I have in there. And each month, it gives me a different breakdown, and then I have actionable plans, because it knows my team members. It'll say, hey, you need to go to your sales manager, John, and you need to look at these 3 customers because the margin's dipping, and then it's affecting this GL code, which this is dropping, and your break even is this. Like, all of that stuff, it already knows it. So here's an example of one of the outputs. Revenue is up 14%, gross margin improved 1.8, AR days, cash flow, all of these things, and literally I just have a monthly fee for ChatGPT. So it ideal for growing companies. If you have a CFO, they probably don't even want you to use this, that's fine, but if you're under that size and you want to be able to use this quickly, it's a great tool to bring stuff to your risks. And again, we're growing very quickly. So cash is, as you know, when you're, especially in the truss and components, $1 million for a new line. We do that, and you're growing, you have it growing AR, and you have a bank, all those things, it kind of gives me 4 warnings on it. So the big thing is, this is the part that I'm working on now. So for the first couple of months, I loved it. I was setting all these things up, but I'm trying to get my team members to use it. And it's not that they're against it and think it's voodoo or whatever. They just don't think about using it. They'll ask questions that they should be dropping in there. They don't think of it first like I'm trying to train them to. So that's my biggest challenge now. But they have some connectors and collaboration things now, specifically, like it's not a personal tool, it can be a company tool. So that's how you can multiply the use of it. So different things like we use connectors in ChatGPT that connect right to our SharePoint, right to our Microsoft Teams, right to our Outlook, and it's able to kind of dig through all of that and has all that information as well. Now from a security standpoint, we're on the business version, so it doesn't share with the model, and so it should be safe, but at the end of the day, I'm still just a lumber guy, so you guys probably have all that information if you look it up, but just kidding. But that being said, John will talk more about that specifically on the security side of it, but if you do the individual non-paid, I believe you have to go in there and say, don't share this information, so that's a key piece. But if you have the business, it automatically does not share any of the information that's in there with the model. So we use Outlook, ChatGPT, and so that automatically comes into summaries on Outlook's SharePoint, OneDrive, into ChatGPT projects. Again, we drive everything back into ChatGPT projects that we share within our teams. And then Otter, and then there's a thing that I've been using lately, it's called Plod. Some of you, I know Bradley Hartman uses it, but I put it on the back of my phone and I can hit record at any time, and it can record a conversation automatically, sends it, there's a connector that I use, sends it right to it, so it's the same thing, and it doesn't have to be planned. And also, if you flip the button to red on the back of your phone, it can record a phone call. It's probably illegal, so if it is, I don't do that, but that capability is there as well. So the power isn't in the AI, it's how the team connects to it, and that's, as a user, that's my challenge now. So it's also, what can it do that I don't know? So my first thing is I want to kind of say, maybe some of these things you guys don't know and it's valuable. It's scary to some people that, hey, it does all this thing. The only scary thing to me is, what can it do that I don't know it can do that could make me better, that I'm missing in that gap? So that's the part that I'm a constant learner. I spend all my extra time listening to podcasts, watching YouTubes, trying to research on this because it's changing everything we're doing so quickly, much more quickly than anything else that I've seen hit our industry. So I always talk about the technology gap. So the difference between the top adopters, which end up being the top 5% of companies, and then the rest. So that gap that's in between there is the opportunity for market leadership. And with AI specifically, that gap is growing faster than any other technology gap, and it's at exponential ratios. So market leaders widen the growth gap because they adopt faster. And AI is accelerating that. So that area in between is your competitive advantage. At the end of the day, we sell 2x4s, put them on a truck, and we try to get them there. And if your business is to sell it a nickel cheaper and get it a minute sooner, that's a very difficult way to make money. So this is an area that can really, if you look at your business, I'm starting to look, where is the value spent within our organization? And there is a ton of value in the minutia of the middle of the business that is task-oriented, non-thinking, button-clicking. So much of it that I still can't wrap my hands around it. But where if you put it at the forward front thinking of setup and processes and systems and analyzation and spend more money there, the payback on the back end I'm seeing is much, much greater. So that's the area that I'm trying to look at. So it's not another wave. We've seen a lot of things adopt this, use robotics and trusses, and we've seen where that went for a couple companies. But this is different. This is to the point that if you're not at least looking into it, I think you're going to be behind quickly because it's changing quickly. So looking ahead for us, I've already hired an outsourced AI trainer that's going to come in and train our team, look at all of our systems, come in, look at what we've done, and figure out how we can connect it more. So we use MyTech, we use BizTrack, we use a bunch of different software that I'm trying to find how I can connect that all together. Is it in ChatGPT? I don't know if it's in ChatGPT. It might be another software. I don't know any of this. But at the end of the day, I want to find out how to be more effective and include everything in there. and it's only a matter of time. I'm going to hire a director of AI before I hire a CFO, because I think that's how important it is that this person knows how to write, create agents, and if you get into it, you'll know it's things that have different software talk to each other and connect. And then sit in these meetings and understand, not just as an outsourced AI trainer, but someone that knows our business and knows John and knows Chelsea. And they know, hey, if you did this, they're going to be the ideation that build the systems behind it. So we're going to be doing this as early as next year. And then industry software suppliers. A lot of them are talking about AI. I'm listening to every single one of them. And some of them, they're not quite there yet. Some of them have some cool ideas, but it's going to change quickly. And I'm very loyal to MyTech, BizTrack, all of those. But guess what? I'm not as loyal as before, because if someone comes up with something that can change the game, it's worth changing now based on what they're coming up with. So some key takeaways just from a user standpoint, regular old Joe that runs a lumberyard, AI is real. It's not people, a high-paid AI guy that's talking, this is a lumberyard operator. The journey is, so you don't have to think about it and study it and talk to the board and talk to these people. Open up ChatGPT, start using it. It's not about being perfect and nailing everything. It's about continually trying to get a little bit better, learn a little bit more, and I would not wait. So we're stronger today than we were 8 months ago when I made that first LinkedIn post. And I expect us to be a drastically different company 12 months from now. If not, I've failed as a leader. So with that being said, I think I have a couple minutes left. If there's any questions, I can answer those now.
I've got a microphone too. Raise your hand.
No?
Have you had any issues where ChatGPT has given you an answer that wasn't right?
Yep. Sure
Tell
did.
us a little bit about that experience.
Son of a gun, I sure did. So it's a great point. So I said it, I hit on it a little earlier. So just like any of your normal employees that would bring something up, it needs to be double checked. So they do make up things. It's called hallucinations. And I found that out the hard way when I was going through all the reports of acquiring a business. And if you've seen that, there's so many different things. And I dropped them all in there. And the bank wanted specific reports, and I had it help me. And then I sent the report over, and they said, "What's this $2.2 million?" And I'm like, I don't know. And I type in there, "What is the 2.2?" And it said, "Oh, that isn't anything. I made that up." And I was like, what? So that's a great question. Now I'm learning from John. So John, I talked to John about this, and he's going to speak next, probably a little bit about this as well. It's all about the prompt. So if you put in there, double check all of these numbers specifically. Do not use any false data. And there's some prompts that I'm learning to kind of head that off on the front end, and I'm learning about it because that's a pretty embarrassing to have to come back and tell the bank, sorry, ChatGPT was wrong on that one. I didn't even look at it. But that is a great question, and that is something that it does, at this point, have hallucinations. But when you prompt it a certain way, or if it's a very important report, you can say, go back, double check all your work, and make sure that there isn't anything off. I've done that, and I've seen it still catch an issue. So that is a great question. So again, just like any employee, though, they can make mistakes as well.
I guess just to kind of piggyback off of that question, this is something I have a little bit more personal information. Hallucinations are going to happen, especially as companies are shifting towards AI training, AI subset models for how the mind map works. It's an unfortunate byproduct that the hallucination gets verified by an AI model, leads to the AI thinking it is a trusted source. What are you guys going to do as far as training data literacy in employees to be aware of some of those shortfalls and kind of cut them off beyond just prompting?
That's a great question, and you know more about AI than me, I can tell, when you said mind map and training on training, which that is a great question. So one of the things that the outsourced AI guy that I hired, I want him to train everyone on how to use it, how to prompt it, how to double check it, and never to fully trust it unless they verify it. But at the end of the day, it's still brings a lot of stuff to you, but there could be errors. If you totally trust that, you could send a big important report to your bank and it could be wrong. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a part of our conversation all the time. Like we're going to start asking new questions that I didn't know there were questions. Like, did you check to make sure that that data is right? Or, did ChatGPT do this? If so, make sure to double check that. Like it's a different conversation that I'm not normally thinking of. And I'm sure we'll make more mistakes as a team as well. Unfortunately, that's how we get better a lot of times, is figure out how to mess it up.
I do very much agree with you. I think the technology is here to stay.
Yeah.
And it is something that we're all going to have to learn a certain degree of data literacy with, so that we aren't overly reliant on it in ways that are unhealthy.
Yeah, that's even another whole, overly reliant in a way that's unhealthy. Yeah, I question myself now, am I getting dumber as a leader when I'm using this? I use that word dumber on purpose, but I don't think as much on certain things, but I am thinking on the other side of it as well. So I don't know, I don't have the answer to that, but as a society, there was a movie that came in the 90s that was, forget the name of it, but it talks about how society is getting dumber and dumber. Idiocracy, yeah. So if you watch that movie now, it's pretty freaking funny, because we're kind of, some of it's come pretty true, but I'm not smart enough to know the answer to that, but at the end of the day, there's a lot less thinking in certain areas. So, all right, I don't see any other questions, so pass this off to John or Rick.